All right. Good evening, everyone. Hope y'all can hear me. Looks like the light here says it's picking me up, so we'll go with that for right now until y'all tell me otherwise. I'll go ahead and apologize a little bit. I've had a bit of a cough today, so hopefully that won't be a problem. How is everyone doing? Let's see here. Giovanna, welcome. Naveed, good to see you. Luna, I see you made it. Barnoldas, hey, you're actually early tonight, man. Umfichi, welcome. Iris, welcome. Good to see you. Terror, you made it, man. Welcome. Animal Man. And Strixberry. Sophia, Lauren, and Bestest Wolf. Wow, we got a full house in here tonight. This is awesome. And Jake, what's up, man? See what we got here. Let's see what is this. I always love seeing the drawn picture of Drake as a dragon. This hat and coffee cup. Yes, Sarah Squishy did that. She's the one who did most of the, well, actually, she did all the artwork, working with the rulers and me doing evocation to get the artwork of the rulers done. So naturally, when I needed a dragon art done for the Magical Coffee Hour, I had to go to her. The ideal to do me as the dragon for the artwork, that was her. Totally her. And she did a really good job with it. And Jade, welcome. You made it. All right. So, everybody, you know the drill. If you're here, make sure you are smashing that like button. It helps the channel out a tremendous amount. Lets YouTube know y'all like the work we're doing. And because of that, they'll keep us in the algorithm. They'll keep putting us up on the search results, and other people can find the channel who are seeking and trying to learn. As I did promise, though, the other rune circle, we got it in the background tonight. So that's up behind us tonight. This is the Volknot version, which I actually kind of like the Volknot better, but maybe that's just because I'm partial to the Volknot design. So let's see, Terror, if you could have your own dragon form, would you look the same as how the artist drew you? What element would you be? Well, in Dragon Magic, you do learn to shift into a draconic form. And generally, mine takes on a larger black dragon with, I guess you'd say, fiery accents to it in the eyes and along the scales. Element, probably a bit more chaos than anything. That would be my guess. But when you take on the, when you shift, you don't take on the element per se. So the shifting thing, that's the easy thing. But the element question, that's actually the pondering. I think it would probably be something like chaos. But that would just be my guess, Tara. Let's see. Strixberry asks, are guardian dragons able to knock things down? Also, do guardian dragons whiz by in the blackish blob? If you're asking about, like, can they knock things down, like off cabinets and stuff the way cats do? Yes, they can. They can move objects around your house quite easily. They love to play little games, so they will move things around like that. And yeah, they can move around and dart around really quick, so they'll look like little black blurs out of the corner of your eye a lot of times. In fact, if you pay attention, you'll notice a lot of people comment on videos about seeing my dragons dart in and out of camera. Try to get them to stop, but they're a little attention hungry, so they do what they do. Let's see. Maru. Welcome, man. Glad you made it. Tony. Hello. A newbie here. I watched some of your Dragon Magic vids, and I'm confused if you can see the dragons hang out with you all the time, or you need to go to a meditative state to talk with them. Good question, Tony. That actually is a really good question. Oh, Peachy, you made it. Welcome. Most people will need to go into a meditative state in order to open the arcane senses to see them. That's the kicker. You have to utilize your arcane senses, Tony. The thing is, at this point in time in my practice, I've trained myself, so my arcane senses are open all the time. So it's very easy for me to perceive them here in the room and around the house with me. That's the reason I do talk about them like they're in the room at all times, and I see them because I do. But it's because I have trained my arcane senses to that level. You will need to train your arcane senses to that level, or you're going to have to work with them in a meditative state. This is another reason we do recommend the Arcane Sanctum exercise so highly. Yeah, and there is a video on the arcane senses, Tony. It gives you exercises to work on all of them, and at workingdragonmystic.com in the classes section, there's an entire class for absolutely free on Arcane Sight. Naveed, okay. What deities have you known to have romantic relationships with their human followers? And do you know anyone personally that does? And what deities can you describe? Everything they said. Honestly, any deity can choose to do that. And to my knowledge, every deity that I've met in one way or another has chosen to do that at some point or another, though this is not in no means a monogamous relationship. Do understand these entities don't understand monogamy. They don't really put themselves into the idealistic limitations of humans. So it is actually very doable. And yes, I know many people who's actually done that. As to whether or not I'm allowed to share their personal experiences, I've never been given that permission. So that's not something that I can share, David. I mean, my friends trust me with information. I'm not going to betray that trust, unfortunately. As to what the relationships are like and what they're like with normal relationships, well, they're actually much like a normal relationship. In fact, it's in so much so that everyone's unique. There is no standardized, this is what it's like. Anyone who's been in a relationship will know there's no such thing as a traditional cookie cutter relationship because the second you put any person in a relationship, the relationship's very unique to the two individuals in it. Or in the case of some relationships, the more than two individuals in it. And it's all about communication and dialogue. And there is no special super divine perks for these relationships. If anything, they bring with them more headaches for the exact same payoffs. It's all about you actually have a deep connection with that entity and you want to show it in that way. That's pretty much it. It's just like entering into a relationship as to a friendship. You want to take it deeper than just that friendship level. Doesn't really add too many perks to it. And if you think a divine relationship's an easy way to get into a relationship without having to deal with relationship problems, not even going to happen. Not even. If you're in a relationship with any type of spiritual entity, they will expect 400 to 500% more work from you than if you weren't in that relationship because you actually wanted that deeper connection. So they're going to expect you to put in more work and you better not get lazy. You get lazy, they get pissy quickly. So let's see here. Lauren, forgive me if you talked about it on stream before. I know you did a video about Jormungandr and Nidhogg, but could you share a bit more about your chats with them? Lauren, I'm not actually sure. I did a video on them. I know Arthur Herger, I think is his name, did a wonderful video on the two of them that I'll send it to you on Discord. It's a fascinating video. But you're right. I have spent a lot of time working with them and talking with them. And they're not the villains they're painted out to be by most people you encounter, which actually makes a lot of sense. And Arthur Herger is one of the reasons his video jumped out to me. Is his video actually confirmed a lot of my gnosis that I had with the two of them and how they weren't villains at all. And that's why I send people to his video, because he does a fascinating job of breaking it down and articulating it far better than I could. But yeah, Jormungandr is a chaos dragon of sorts. He's a cross element dragon though. So he is chaos, earth, and water. And Nidhogg is actually a chaos dragon that also deals with spirit and darkness, as well as he works within those death elements somewhat as well. But he does also have that chaos element about him. Lord, they are fascinating dragons to work with. Jormungandr is actually not too difficult to reach out to, all in all, because he is actually very, very close to this planet. He's called the Midgard Serpent for a reason. He's actually a protector and a guardian of this very realm, so he's actually pretty chill. I mean, not to say that he's a beginner entity, but he's a lot easier to work with than many Chaos Dragons. And I really should do a full video on him. I really should. I hope that answers some of your questions, Lauren. Thank you, Naveed. I'm glad you can respect that fact, because, I'm a man of my word, and if a friend puts their trust in me, I don't want to screw that up. I appreciate that. Naveed, it's gone both ways in the past. Sometimes the deities enact it, sometimes the humans have tried to enact it, and sometimes they get turned down on both sides. It can and has happened. And like I said, they expect a lot out of their humans if they're in a relationship, so it's nothing to be entered into lightly. That's it, Arthi Harder. Thank you, Bernaldus. Yeah, he has a fascinating video on the two. No, entities, including deities, can feel love and fall in love. It's not like they're cold and dead to that concept. They can do it, but they do expect a great deal of it. Yeah, he is, and he does articulate the two really well, Lauren. It's a long video. I think it's like a 45-minute to an hour video. But for me, anyways, the video just went by really fast. He really does a fascinating job presenting the lore and the information. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. So, okay, Born, if you're trying to get me to pronounce it correctly, first off, remember my southern twang makes it hard for me to pronounce damn near anything. Secondly, I still have a head cold, which is going to complicate it further. Deal with it, dude. Let's see, Navi, can you explain what the term energetic current means? Yeah, actually, I can. Energy flows across the multiverse like water. It does, it moves like rivers. So, when we're talking about an energetic current, we are talking about an energetic body that is moving across the multiverse that actually matches a specific energetic vibration. So, for example, if you would. Even though they're both water energy, rain and thunderstorm water energies will actually have different vibrations to them. But if you even get simpler with that, you can look at water, earth, air, and fire. These four energetic currents that permeate the multiverse, and they're constantly in motion, so they're constantly flowing. Therefore, that energetic current is flowing. They each have a very unique signature vibration and charge about them, and they can be identified. You can actually learn what different energies look and feel like. So you can identify them in that way, but they do move and flow just like water, um, and react in very similar ways. So they are often referred to as currents because of that river-like flow that energy tends to have across the multiverse. So when we're speaking of an energetic current, we're talking about those individual currents that make up that particular energy. Let's see, Tony, I also watched your video about making a pact with an entity, and the question that I have is how would you start to find that out with the right entity for you? All right, Tony, this is one that we get quite a bit. There's 3 videos on this channel about making pacts, and if you've watched them, this should have been covered. But pact making is an advanced magic. It's not beginner level by any means. So, first off, you're going to have to master your meditation and your trance, and then you're going to have a solid, fully functional evocation practice. You're not going to come into Magick and make a pact within the first 6 months or first year. You really need to put in the work. And you actually have to get to the point where you can evoke entities and have a full real time conversation with them, just as if you were having a conversation with your friend sitting in the room. So your arcane senses and your evocation skills have to be up to that level before you can do the pact. And then you find the entity by actually working with entities and actually finding out what entities you work well with. This is basically the same thing as how you meet friends in the real world. It's a social exercise. You're going to have to go out. You're going to have to meet them. You're going to have to talk with them. You're going to have to spend time with them. And this is a very, very long process. There's no quick way to do it. And if you work with an entity for, I would say honestly, less than 6 months and you're ready to make a pact with it, that's not the right entity. So if you're looking to that path, you need to start focusing on your meditation, your trance, and you really need to start working on your arcane senses and your evocation work. Because without those at very high levels, you're just not going to be able to do it. A lot of people think pact work is like a wish granting tool where you can come in, you don't have to work for it, you make a pact, and boom, you get what you want. It's actually quite the opposite. That's a myth. Let's see here. Oh, we love you, Born. Okay, let's see. Bonfoot, Bonfo. I can't say your full name right now. This head cold's killing me. The question pertaining to the Yule Art Contest: what is the policy on artists posting their art submissions on social media? Can artists post during or after the contest, or not at all? Honestly, it's your artwork. By submitting it, you're saying we can put it on a coffee cup and that coffee cup can be sold. But we will only be putting it on that coffee cup for 15, or not 15, 50 mugs. If you wish to post it on social media, that's your artwork. Take pride in your artwork. And I'm even going to give you credit for the artwork in the mug. So even in the description, your name should be included in the description on the site to get your shout out. So you will get credit for it. And yes, you can post it on social media. I think an artist should be proud of their work. Um, I mean, you won a contest. So yeah, you're saying we can put it on a mug for that limited run. But I don't see any reason if you're winning a contest, you should lose the right to show off your art. That's just silliness to me. So, no, by all means, go ahead and post it on your website and stuff like that as well. That's perfectly cool with me. Good question, though. I know what Drake wants to say, so say it to yourself. Okay, PG, now you got me wondering what I want to say. What angels are good at working with and why? For example, what would you petition an angel to work with as compared to another type of spirit with, and why in terms of supernatural or energetic properties? Naveed, this entirely depends on what you're working with and you. First off, angels and demons are the exact same source entity. If you actually trace their lineage back, they are the exact same entities. They are not separate categories of entities. That is actually a falsehood. Angels are a bit more lawful or ordered, whereas the demons are more chaotic in their nature, but they are the exact same entities. It's essentially like you take two groups of humans. This group follows one set of rules. This group follows another set of rules, but they're still both humans. Um, Now, that said, it really depends on the personality. There is no which group of entity is the better entity to work with. That's limiting. And that's a narrow mindset that you shouldn't put yourself in. And as to what entities work well with what, that depends on the person. I know a lot of people love working with angels, they absolutely adore it. I only get along with a few. And again, that's because of my personality. And I don't blame that against them. I just know it's a personality thing. And when I have to work with them, I do work with them and we work along well fine. It's just a personal preference. There is no perfect entity to work with. So you have to find out what you work well with. That's not an answer anyone else can give you. And if you go to a reader or a medium or somebody and they're saying you need to work with this because they're selling you some snake oil, you really have to find out what you're going to work best with yourself. And that's only doable through application. As to what entity does what, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of millions of entities out there. Some of them's cataloged, most of them are not. And all these entities have talents in very, very different things. And most of these entities are far more talented than just a checklist of correspondences that we try to put on them in a book. So again, it's if you take the time to build a relationship as opposed to viewing these entities as what can I get from you, you're actually going to get more from them if you actually have a friend as opposed to looking at them as a vending machine. Lucifer's Nook, welcome. Glad you can make it, Lucifer's Nook. Welcome. No, not all angels work for Yahweh. Only very few of them do. Oh, I didn't bring up your only weakness, dude. I mean, there's a few more we could point out if we got bored, you know. Oh, speaking of, everyone, one of our own community members here and one of the admin over at the Discord. Today is her birthday, our own little Miss Halloween. Many of you who's members of Discord, you've seen her and everything. She does a lot to help out. And she's also one of the ones that helps keep me in line, make sure I don't do too many stupid things. I think my wife even has her keeping tabs on me from time to time. So everyone wish our own Halloween a great big happy birthday to her because she does a lot for the community and honestly, well, she's been a big help to us all. And she's a good friend too, great friend. And I know that she's out celebrating her birthday, so I doubt she's going to make it into the live chat here any tonight, but I wanted to give her a shout out anyways. Might embarrass her. She might appreciate it. We'll see. Okay, will do. I'll try and remember the muse part. I'll remember that. Thank you. And don't worry about the weird username. I'll do my best. I will power on through the best we can, always. Kelly, welcome. It's okay. Better late than never. Grab you a cup of coffee. In fact, I'm going to grab me a little more right here now. All right. Terror. Do dragons have special holidays or celebrations? And do the dragon leaders and elders celebrate any human holidays with us? This is actually a funny and an interesting question because I actually spent a lot of time talking to the dragons about holidays. And the dragons tend to only celebrate the equinoxes and the solstices because they are a celebration of the balance. And they do celebrate those with us, or they're willing to, if you want to include them. By and large, the dragons themselves don't really do a whole lot with holidays. They just don't. But since we do have the equinox and the solstice, granted, it's an equalizing of the energies in our realm. So it's not a multiversal holiday. But since they do work closely with us, if you're a dragon magic practitioner, they absolutely adore celebrating those holidays with us. Now, that's not to say if you have a guardian dragon or a co-magician and you want to include them in a holiday celebration that they won't join you. I know one dragon magic practitioner who's a Christian, and his dragons actually help him celebrate Easter all the time, and that's a big old deal. They do the little egg hunts. I saw him trying to explain how you get eggs and rabbits, which was a funny conversation to actually sit back and watch, because it's funny enough to see a pagan try to describe this to a dragon, much less a Christian. But at the same time, the dragons were very understanding of the religious significance and the importance. And they showed it the respect and the honor it deserved, and they took part in it, even with this gentleman's kids. So the dragons would actually help the kids on the egg hunts. They would move bushes and stuff to try and get the kids' attention to where the eggs might be hidden. The kids weren't able to perceive the dragons fully, but they still done their best to help. It was sweet. Are Yahweh and Jehovah one and the same? Yes. They are the same. Let's see here. Whoa, okay, we jumped. I remember if you have a really important question and I miss it due to this jumping, we do have the super chat. It'll make it flash up real big. It makes me have to see it. or if you just want to do a donation to help us with the work we're doing here. Ooh, which reminds me, we got a new microphone, people. Yee. This will be on the next camera. Even came with one of those dead cat covers. Hopefully that'll cut out some of that jet noise and other things we get. We'll see. Naveed, which angels do I like working with and why? Michael, Lucifer, Azazel, Gabriel, Azrael are generally my favorites to work with. Me and Michael, we just click on kind of a warrior's honor kind of perspective. So him and I's always got along. Gabriel, at least with me, he's always just been very straightforward and it's like, here's the situation we got. Let's figure out how to solve it. So it's a very practical, almost logical approach, which I really appreciate. Azazel, you all heard me talk about Azazel and why I enjoy working with him so much. Kind of the same thing with Lucifer, which actually we have a video on Lucifer coming out Tuesday. So those are my go-tos. Are you still practicing draconian magic and how beneficial has it been? I practice dragon magic, not draconian magic. I have worked a little in draconian magic, tested different books and rituals and stuff for my own research as well as others. So dragon magic has always been my focus, not draconian magic. For those who enjoy the path, draconian magic is actually very useful and beneficial. It can be a hard road, it can be a rough road, but I've seen it yield great benefits if you're able to handle the ride. Now that said, I do the Cliffothic path working that I'm currently working on. It is a very draconian style path working because it is from the Temple of the Ascended Flame and Asenath Mason, so she does follow a draconian magic style of practice, and because of that, it is in that similar style. But my main practice is still dragon magic, not draconian magic, and Norse practice. So, but yeah, I would say it's very beneficial. Let's see, Tony, are there any magical properties in making a pact with yourself? Actually, yeah, I want to say I covered that in one of the videos, but essentially it is a magical contract with yourself, which will actually energetically kind of drive you forward and motivate you, or energetically you start kicking your own tail if you start procrastinating. But yeah, a pact, the only thing a pact is, it's not a wish grant or anything. This is what so many people miss. A pact is basically an agreement between yourself or you and another entity that they're going to help you reach a goal. They're not magically going to manifest it in your lap. You're going to have to do the work. Just as they'll do half the work, you do half the work, but it's a process. It's a long process, and it is a rough road. It's never easy. And it really is, people think it's like the genie in the bottle, but it's not. So making a pact with yourself is the same thing. You're just turning your own subconscious into an energetic motivator. And that subconscious will try and push you forward or, well, punish you if you be a lazy craphead. So how different is working with Draconian Dragons and real Astral Dragons? Well, the Draconian Dragons are more other entities that take on the symbolism of a dragon. Now, most of those entities are extremely chaotic in nature. I know some people even use the term demonic. I don't like that word, but yeah. But those entities are very big about driving you forward and driving you into change, and they're going to try and get you there fast, and they're really kind of pedal to the metal kind of movement. Now, dragons are extremely primal in their nature and they move things in massively large ways. And they're not really going to take a time out to see if you're okay. But the benefit to dragons over the draconian entities is dragons do focus a bit more on the balance. Whereas the draconian entities are more likely to just tear you down to the foundations and start building you back up. The dragons will try and balance out what you already got, if that's a possibility. That's not to say they won't tear you down if that's the option you leave them with, but they can be a little easier to work with at times. So, like any different category of entity, there's a pro and con to anything, and there's always exceptions to the rule. They will celebrate Samhain, but it's see, how can I explain this? It is the beginning of the harvest season. I want to say the solstice. It's not one of the solstices or the equinoxes. But they tend to want to practice. They will celebrate Samhain with us, okay? And they will remember their family members, the fallen, those that died. Not necessarily in the Dark Ages. Dragons haven't stopped dying just because of the Dark Ages. I don't know where that came from. But they will remember their ancestors the same as we do. Here's the thing. For them, honestly, remembering their ancestors is something they do at every celebration. So they're already doing it at the solstices and the equinoxes anyways. They celebrate Halloween or Samhain with us because that is a time that we remember ancestors as well. So a perfect example of this, part of my family tradition, which is something Odin, kind of laid out for me because I've never been a Christmas guy. Um, so we actually started doing kind of a 12 days of Christmas kind of thing where we do different remembrances and different things focused on family, building up to Yule. And during that time, we also do remember family that has passed on just the same because this is a time for family to be remembered, whether living or dead, and to remember the joys, the laughters that they've brought. So it was made perfect sense when I found out dragons do the same thing. Um, so they do celebrate it. It's just again, it's not one of the things that they're particularly. Their it's not their tradition. It's more ours that they celebrate. If that makes sense. Okay. Whoa, we jumped again. Let's see. No, Tony, I'm not saying it won't help. It will help because they're going to drive you forward and they're going to be helping you along the path. It will help, but it's not like the genie in the bottle where I want to be rich, make a wish, and suddenly your bank account's big. That's the problem a lot of people run into. The big kicker is practically everything that you can get from making a pact, you can manifest through spell work and evocation without making a pact. That's the reason I don't do a lot of pact work. I've had success with the pacts I've done, and the only time I do a pact is if I have a large amount of things I'm trying to accomplish and get done, and I know that there's an entity that can help me with this list, and they're going to help. Not only do they help me manifest it, but they also help guide me in how to manifest it. So they're telling me the spell work I need to do. They're helping me do evocations to find other entities to help manifest it. They're helping me learn rituals to help manifest it. So yeah, I've made a pact, but they've come on board as an advisor. That's what a pact is. They come on board as an advisor to help you get the work done to manifest it. So yeah, they help. But technically speaking, it's that's what they do. They're just there to advise you. They're not there to manifest it for you. Terror, the thought of dragons dying is really upsetting to me anytime I see or hear about it. That's understandable, and it is a sad thing. I've actually seen the halls of Helheim, the halls of the Azure, the Vanir, Valhalla, all raise glasses and toast to the death of a dragon. It's something that, as far as I can tell, most, if not all, realms in the multiverse seem to take notice when one passes, especially the older ones. Lauren Gamble, how long are dragons' lifespan? Like old no, but is it common for them to pass on? I don't have an exact number on that lifespan, Lauren. I do know there are several dragons that I've encountered that their lifespans are already up in the hundreds of thousands of years. I know Zergaroth himself predates the Milky Way, so that should give you something of his age. Um, so it's yeah, I don't know their exact how long their natural lifespans are. Um, but they do spend so much time protecting the multiverse from other things and working to deal with the balance that sometimes they go down. It is sad, but it happens. Yeah, that's right. So it is the fall equinox. So they would be celebrating it anyways. I was like, Santa. See, thank you, Born. My head is still in a fog from this week where I had a bug this week, so I was down and foggy, and my head's still a little fogged up. I appreciate that, Born. So it is the fall equinox, right? That's okay. So yeah, they do celebrate it because it is the equinox. Right. Samhain is the equinox where Halloween's just nailed on the 31st. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, Ronaldus. Thank you for having my back, Ronaldus. Well, Tara, it's a hard thing. Death is a natural part of existence altogether. You can't have life without death. Um, and that is in its very nature part of the balance. And that's actually something that dragons recognize when they do hold these funerals and these memorials. It's part of that balance. It's it's weird because you see these and it's not really a mourning process. It's a celebration of the cycle. Um, I mean, it's sad. It's emotional. It's there's definitely a power to the ceremonies, but it's not meant to be a time to mourn and be sad. Naveed, I've explained what they look like to you 2 or 3 times now. They look like giant balls of fire, lightning, and masses of wings with eyeballs all around the central area, like a nice amorphous blob. I also told you if you Google biblical forms of angels, you could find pictures of them. That's really the best description I can give you. And since every angel's appearance is even slightly different from one another, there's no way I can explain what they're all going to look like. Everyone's unique, just like we are. Yeah, actually, Barnaldus, that is one thing. I have heard of dragons choosing to pass on. So that's actually quite interesting. Um, so that is a possibility. I don't know if they have a finite lifespan or if it's just they reach the point where they know their time is it's time for them to let go. That's an interesting thought there. Well, terror, therein lies the great mystery, though. You say murder without need, but the kicker here is there's a matter of perspective in everything. And this is something dragons will drill into you real hard. Because, see, to a fly, the spider is a killer. But to the spider, it's just every day feeding his family. So what's chaos for the fly is normal for the spider. You know, and there's a much larger perspective to almost every event out there that dragons and other entities take in that we humans do not. That's about the best I can do without making it political. We're not going political here on this channel and this stream. Let's see, what's this one? Mechanoki blood. What's the most annoying question you get from mundanes? You know, I really don't think I get any annoying questions from non-practitioners. Everyone who comes up to me and talks to me about magic or asks about it that isn't a practitioner, they always approach me with genuine curiosity, even if it comes off as almost as I can't believe you study magic. How does a rational man like you study this? They still have a genuine curiosity about them. And because of that, I never find their questions annoying because it's just like a kid coming up and asking. And I always find that they actually listen. Many of them will walk away and be like, I couldn't do that. And it's like, well, I understand that. Um, but so, yeah, that's one of the things where I don't really get those. Um, oh, let's see here, though. The most annoying question I get, honestly, is how do I sell my soul? How do I make a pact, sell my soul to the devil for riches, women, or something? And that probably comes off anytime I'm answering a question with pact because those are the people who think they're going to flip a light switch and their life's going to change because they did a candle spell or said some words attempting to sell their soul or make a pact because they have no idea how magic works. They have no plans to study it. They have no intent to learn it. They just want to be able to think that they can go to some entity out there in the multiverse and they're going to fix their life for them. And it just doesn't work that way. And that, honestly, for me, is probably the most annoying question I get because I get it probably 100 times a week at least. And that's one of the things that actually drove me to do the pact making videos to try and dispel the myths of pact work. So I did the first one, and then I did the second one to try and clarify it better. And then, of course, I did the myths of making a pact video. Um, that and that one actually tends to come from more practitioner side than non-practitioners. I I think I've had maybe 5 non-practitioners that I know of ask me about packs, but most of them are real skittish. They don't wanna do it, they just wanna know, "Why would someone consider this?" Um, and I'm not trying to put anybody down here, it's just I am trying to answer the question and be honest with y'all. And I do try to, anytime I get those questions, try to point them in the right direction, let them know what pact work really is as opposed to just put them down, because sometimes we just don't know. And you can't blame somebody for just not knowing. That's why I do what I do, and I try to teach them, and I try to help, because I do wanna see everyone try and better themselves through magic. But it takes work, it's a lot of work. Magic is not easy, and it's not for the faint of heart, but it is a rewarding practice in my mind. Agatha, what's a brief explanation of the difference between draconian magic and dragon magic? Okay, quick explanation. If you want a more detailed explanation, I actually have a full video on draconian magic versus dragon magic. But the difference is draconian magic actually works with more demonic entities and deities, or I should say, entities that the church has demonized. Um, and it uses serpent and dragon symbolism. And the entities will often take on the form and shape of the symbolism used in the rites and the rituals, for the energy work and the process of working with these entities. This is what the Temple of the Ascending Flame does, with their book. Um, Whereas dragon magic itself, as opposed to working with other entities that take on the symbolism of a dragon, you are working directly with what is known as true dragons. And there is a drastic difference. That is the short answer. Let's see here what we get. Can you do a quick invocation by customizing the lesser? I'm going to assume that's lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Maybe change the pentagrams with something else and call the dragons at the four elements. Um, you could. You actually could. In fact, I did a. Me and a ceremonial magician got together one time, and I've talked about this before, where we actually did a draconic lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram to see how the energies would flow and work. He's actually the one that brought the project to me. It was a curiosity, and it worked really, really well. He still uses it actually. I haven't used it since the dragons taught me the um, dragon's flame ritual, because it's essentially the same thing. Um, so yeah, you could do that, though it's not going to be. Let's see how I can explain this. Invoking a dragon is not the easiest thing to do, and it's not going to function exactly like invoking another entity. So during the ritual, you're only going to invoke a certain portion of the energy current, not the entirety of the entity, if that makes sense. So it will work slightly different, but for purposes of the ritual, it will work at the same energetic level at the very least. Let's see what we got here. Let's see, Naveed, who does Michael, Samiel, Raphael, Metatron serve? Do you know which deity and why? Yeah, actually I do. The answer is none. Here's the kicker. People want to think these entities serve. They don't. They have free will. They can walk away at any time. Samiel, actually, as far as I can tell, is Lucifer. They're one and the same entity. I'm still half out on that, but honestly, with working with the two of them, their energies are so identical that once I finish this Cliffofic path working, I'm pretty sure I'll know for sure. But right now, yeah, I'm in agreement with everyone that says Samiel and Lucifer's the same guy. Michael, Raphael, and Metatron are credited for working with Yahweh, and they do work with him, but they do not serve him, nor are they bound to him in any shape, form, or fashion. Hope that helps. Tony, what kind of spells would you suggest for a beginner to do? I only found from your videos the prosperity and money's now good for beginners. Yeah, actually, all the spells here on this channel, Tony, would be really great for a beginner to start with, especially that the long-term prosperity spell. That is one I do recommend my students when they first start taking classes, because prosperity can help in so many ways in anyone's life, really. So that would be a great one to start with. Also, look into the Sigil Magic video, because Sigil Magic is very, very versatile. And we will be getting into rune magic in the course the rune course that we're publishing lesson by lesson right now. So eventually we're going to get down to the rune magic lessons there as well. But sigil magic is very flexible, very usable, very customizable. So I'd recommend that. Also check out the servitor video. And again, a great place for starter magic. Though I'd say my favorite for starter is sigil magic. You don't need a lot for it, and you can accomplish so much with it. It's probably hands down my favorite go-to beginner magic, and it's actually a form of magic that you learn it as a beginner, and the better you become as a magician, it actually grows with you, and you can get better manifestations with it. And it's just so easy to utilize it. I would really recommend it. I know a lot of people point to candle magic. Candle magic can work. It can be very useful, but at the same time, if you ain't got a candle, you're screwed. Whereas sigil magic, if I got a piece of paper and a pencil, I'm on. We're good. We're solid. And I've never stayed at even a Roach motel that doesn't have a pen and paper on the desk. So I've always got what I need. Oh, okay. Yeah, the invoking version. Yeah, you could actually utilize it the same way. You could. You could actually utilize the LIRP in the same way. You would just have to make a few adjustments to it, but it would work the same way. Again, though, you're still going to run into the same invocation problem, because dragons do not invoke the same way that many other entities do. Sydney, hey, welcome. Thanks for checking in. Good to see you. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. For the long term one, Tony, make sure you give it a good month or two, and that you are keeping records so that you can actually see as it prosperity starts to trickle in. Honestly, that long term prosperity spell that's on my channel, that's really the one that dragged me and my wife out of the dump. So that's one reason I know it works. Lauren, are you going to get into Golder at all in the rune lessons? Yep, we are. We really, really are. And actually, I'm wanting to say we're getting really close to filming that class, actually, or that lesson, Lauren. Take it easy, Tony. No problem. I do my best to answer what I can. I appreciate you. Have a good night and have a great week. Get some good research done. Get some good work done. Let's see. Anonymous Moose. If you ever doodle, sigils work well. See, I was never an artist or a doodler, so I'm a little surprised that me and Sigil Magic get along well. But I know so many artists who love it. It's just which if you see my sigils, you'll see I'm not an artistic person. My sigils are functional, not artistic. How many years have I been an occultist, and what magical systems did you start with? Well, that depends on where you start the timeline, really. I would start the timeline roughly 20, 22 years ago. My first occult instructor seems to want to start that timeline sooner. Because I did pick up a lot of Eastern mysticism, Native American mysticism, and stuff like that as I grew up. I've always had a real curiosity. So she actually starts it much earlier than that, even when I was still in the church, because of all the different theologies and spiritualisms I studied to get a broader understanding even then. Um, where did I start? Honestly, I started just trying to understand magic. Um, would be where I'd honestly I wanted to understand magic as a general focus. Um, then say somewhere within that first year is when I stumbled across dragon magic, and that really became kind of a big focus for me. But I always stayed focused on learning the nuts and bolts and how magic works across the multiverse, not within a singular system. I always wanted to know what was that nuts and bolts, that system, that skeleton that everything else was built on. That was my focus, has been, and still is my focus. And that's one reason I'm able to teach so many different students is I don't teach necessarily one system over another. I teach those nuts and bolts so that a person can take that, apply it to whatever practice they want, and find their own path. Coffee Unknown, do you have a TikTok? No, I do not. I keep getting asked this question a lot lately. I do not. I I don't know how I feel about occult TikToks. I really don't. But I currently do not have a TikTok. And anyone who's ever heard me talk, I'm too long-winded. I could not crunch something down into what is a TikTok video, 30, 60 seconds, something like that. I couldn't do it. Um, I'm a Southerner. We cannot say something short, sweet, and be done. We got too much to say. So no, I couldn't do that. Um, I did kick the can around about potentially starting a TikTok, not as an occult channel, but as a goofy, just have some fun, tell some jokes, and cut loose. Because many of you know there's a goofy side to me. I like to joke around and horse around and whatnot. So if I ever decide to do a TikTok, it'll probably be more of just my rantings, my quick little short rantings and goofing off, as opposed to an occult TikTok. If I ever start one. I'm not saying I'm starting one. I've only kicked the can around about it a few times. That doesn't mean I'm actually going to do it. What order should I read DJ Conway's books in? I just got them in today with the Dragonomicon. Honestly, Conway's books, I would start with Mystical Dragon Magic. I know it's the second book in her series, but that's actually if you sit down and read them all, you're going to realize that should be at the front. And work through it. Take your time. I think it's 6 months per chapter that she recommends you working in. Or is it 6 weeks? It's something like that. But take your time and do the path working in there if you're going to actually work through her system, or at least read them in that order. So go with Mystical Dragon Magic, then Dancing with Dragons, which I'll be honest, Dancing with Dragons kind of loses all sustenance once you've done the mystical one, which is weird. But that I would start with mystical. See, do any of the higher dragon leaders and elders have a sense of humor or enjoy non-serious things sometimes? Yeah, actually they do. That's actually a pretty good question though, Tara. Um, they really do, honestly. It's kind of sad because these dragons you're working with, especially when you get to the higher rulers, um, their energy's so raw, so primal that they can really wreck your life just by being around them. And that's why I generally haven't done a lot of videos on those particular dragons yet. But just because they do take their job seriously, and when they're working with you, they will work seriously, don't get me wrong. But they do actually have a sense of humor about them. Tempestra is actually a good example. For all the trouble Tempestra can cause a person, she is a little prankster. Well, okay, she's not very little. She's pretty freaking large. But, and she does love to play those jokes. If you go to workingdragonmystic.com and click on the merch, and you go look at her artwork shows her to appear as this cuddly little, just cute, approachable Asian Ling style dragon. And it looks, you just want to let your guard down and run up and hug her. You really do. But then you remember she's the ruler of the maelstrom, and the maelstrom is going to take anything that's not in motion and it's going to put it in motion. And it's going to take anything that needs change that's going to change it, whether you like it or not. And it's going to do this by coming into your life with a wrecking ball. And you can either get out of the way or get hit with the wrecking ball. It doesn't care which way you go. So she does have a sense of humor, but it's what they're in charge of is such a drastically important area of development, and it can be such a harsh thing to work with. A lot of magicians don't take the time to realize these dragons, they have their work, and that is their job, and they are going to focus on that. They're going to help you first and foremost. But as you really progress through and really start getting yourself in place as a magician, you start to get to see the personality behind the job. And you do find then that they do have a bit of a sense of humor and a personality in there. But they will focus on helping you and building you up as a magician first. And that's really one of the problems. Most people don't actually take the time to do the work, and when it's not easy, they sit down, start crying, or throw a temper tantrum and storm off, and they blame the dragons. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. Most people storm off. Is that knit magic or not magic? Because I've actually heard of knitting magic, which is a variation of not magic in a way. If we're talking not magic, I enjoy it. I do. I do a lot of bushcraft camping. I'm out in the woods a lot, so I always have cordage of some kind, and the ability to do not magic store energy and the likes has always been a form of magic that I've enjoyed. Um, the knitting magic, I can't knit, so I could only approach it from a not Magic perspective, in which case I'd say it would make sense that it's a really great system. But I can't comment beyond that. Actually, Tara, I would actually recommend the exact opposite because if you read them in order, Dancing with Dragons sets up an entire system of magic and then is completely thrown out when you get to Mystical Dragon. And then she begins contradicting practically everything that she talked about within the first book. That's why I say start there because it actually builds you up better to get ready for the deeper side of it. Whereas Mystical comes in more beginner friendly. I don't know why the books were wrote like that. It never made sense to me. But which actually she released a third book. I forget the title of it, but it was like her last book. She set it to publish before she passed away. It's basically a redo of Dancing with Dragons. She goes back and redoes Dancing with Dragons so it actually fits the system better. Okay, so I did answer it. Yeah, Magic is, I love it. Like I said, I spend a lot of time in the woods. Well, it did this year, 2020. Hoping to spend more time next year, but I do spend a lot of time with bushcraft camping and whatnot. And yeah, so I always have cordage on hand, and I do love not magic. I can sew, but I can't crochet or knit or any of that stuff. I can't do that. So, all right, everyone, we're going to get ready to wrap up here. Hopefully, you all have a wonderful week, and hopefully, you had a great weekend. I had a great time here answering your questions. A few of the questions, we got a little serious on, but that's okay. That's okay. It's always good to have some coffee, have some chit chat with y'all. And if I do ever decide to start a TikTok, even if it's a goofy one, I'll let y'all know so you can follow me over there and watch me embarrass myself. Other than that, do make sure you check out the stream or not stream, it's not a stream, is it? The video on Tuesday for Lucifer. I know I've got a lot of people that's been looking forward to that. And that was really great to get in touch with Lucifer and get to work with him again. Go over the video. He's the one that laid it out. And actually after editing, I made sure to run it by him and he liked it. So the information he wanted is in it. So yay. Also, if you are looking at joining into the Yule Contest, please do make sure your entry is in before December 15th, midnight, Eastern Standard Time. Entries can be submitted over at the Discord. You'll see the holiday art contest section. Just drop it in there. And that way I have your Discord name that we can get you up on and message you with the winner. Other than that, everyone, you have a great week, and I will see you next time. And hey, if you got any work going this week, do the best you can with it. Hope all your research plans pan out. I got a lot of research to get caught up on. I got behind this week, and I got a lot of videos to shoot, so it's going to be a busy week for me. Until Friday, everyone, you take it easy.